Alright, this is the video tutorial for assignment 1, which is adjusting audio in Pro Tools. This should be some fun, hopefully. It's a chance to get some hands-on experience actually doing some of the things or trying out some of the things we've been talking about. So the details for this assignment again are right here. You can refer to this whenever you want, and this video will hopefully be helpful as well, as I'll try to walk you through some of the steps of what we're going to do. And as it says here, one of the main requirements of this is to import these specific audio files and adjust the gain and EQ levels. So it's really not too difficult, but yeah, here we go. So the files that you need to download are these: Acoustic Guitar 1 and Acoustic Guitar 2, which are provided right here. So assignment 1, audio file zip. Go ahead and download those, and while you do, I'm going to start opening up a new Pro Tools session. Okay, so I want to create a blank session, and you have these session parameters that I want you to look at really quick. So these are some of the things we're talking about. So audio file type, we want to use this. It's a WAV file, which is an uncompressed format. And the other ones we also talked about are AIFF or SD2, which is Sound Designer 2. But let's stick with the WAV file. Sample rate 44.1, which is kilohertz, which actually means 44,100 hertz. And that's great. That's CD quality. That's going to be nice. If you were doing something for film or TV or something of that nature, you'd want 48 kilohertz. Bit depth, if you remember, bit depth has a lot to do with the dynamic range of your session. And so the greater the bit depth, the greater the dynamic range. We'll keep this at 24-bit and go ahead and hit OK. Sorry, I had a little glitch there. Gonna pick it up from hopefully where we were at. Let's see. Where is our Pro Tools session? Okay. Okay, so new session. We talked about all of these. It's fine. Label it assignment 1, then your name. Save. Okay, there we go. Okay, so again, as a reminder, in Pro Tools you've got these two different views. You've got the edit window and the mix window. To toggle between, you can hit Apple plus or minus. Not minus, sorry, Apple plus to get between the two. And now what you want to do is import those audio files that you just downloaded. So file import audio. Here are the two files. They should look just like this: Acoustic Guitar 1 and 2. Add these regions to import and then hit done. And you're going to want to leave this how it is, new track for each of them, so they'll both be new tracks instead of just regions, and have them start at the beginning of the session. So hit OK. And you're already off to a great start if you're this far. Really easy, because that was one of the requirements, is just to simply import those files and have them on individual separate tracks, and you have that here on the timeline. So got one track for each of them. And with that, you have individual control over these files, and you can do a lot of things you want to do. Again, if you look between the two window views, you can see what those look like there. Alright, so one of the things to notice here, when you first take a look at these files, just visually, without me even playing the audio file at all, it's pretty easy to tell which one has greater amplitude, which in turn means which one is going to be louder. And you're right, it's Acoustic Guitar 1. It's a lot louder. You can see the amplitude here. The waveform is much bigger, which means it's going to be louder. So let's go ahead and play these. Oh, hold on. Gotta get this turned up for you. Sorry about that. So if we play these, I'll mute this track right now, but even when I mute this track, you still see the volume levels for it, and you can see neither one's especially loud, but this one's quite a bit louder. So you can compare the two. So here's the other one. Okay, so an easy thing to start with is to adjust the loudness, or the gain, the volume. And so this is really quite simple. You can take this track and adjust it however you want. If you're in the mix window, you can change the overall level for the whole thing like this. You can change that. If you did want to make specific changes, if you wanted to keep it really quiet for some reason and boost it just at certain spots, you can do it right here by clicking this volume tab. Using this tool, you can go in and be more specific. And as you see there, it's measured in dB, which again is what we were talking about. So it's kind of cool to see these things at work. As you do that, this will keep the volume dB level where it was, and this will boost it at that point. So you can have fun with that, do whatever you want, but that's how you adjust the principles of amplitude. That's where you're going to use that in the volume, the loudness, the gain. Okay, so another thing to do that we talked about was to adjust the EQ, and we do that, that's adjusting frequency. So I'm going to go back here to the mix window, and for Acoustic Guitar 1 and Acoustic Guitar 2 I'm going to add an insert, which is essentially a plugin. So you can see right here EQ, and we're going to do a 7-band equalizer. And got to pull that in where you can see it. Alright, there it is. Okay, so while I work on this, I want to mute this other track. So I have this 7-band equalizer on Acoustic Guitar 1. And these are all the things we were talking about. If you look here, this says dB, so we're talking about how strong a certain frequency is. We can so there's dB here, and then frequency here, and this is the hertz. So going from 20 to 20,000 hertz, so or 20 to 20K, which is 20 kilohertz. So again, you're going to see those principles in action. We get to go through and change certain things. We talked about the range of lows and mids and highs, and we're going to go through and look at some of those things. So if I just want to work on Acoustic Guitar 1, I can either mute Acoustic Guitar 2, or you could solo Acoustic Guitar 1, which is easier if you had a bunch of tracks instead of having to mute all the other ones. So I can play this. Actually, let me go back. I'm going to just highlight a section, and I've got this set to loop, which is right there. So while we work on this, it's just going to keep looping that same part. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do. You can mess around with this and experiment with what you like and kind of figure out what different frequencies are going to do to it, but you can tell I'll do just a couple things. These are lows, and that's distorting the speakers and everything. You don't need that much low in acoustic guitar. Again, I don't want to tell you what you need to do, but I'll just do a really rough thing. You can see I could drop some of these. If I had any hum while I was recording it, that can be a low cut or a high pass kind of filter by doing that. Another thing you can do is go through and find frequencies that you don't like. So about 500 hertz here, you can kind of go around and see like, oh, I really don't like a certain frequency, and then pull it out a little bit. If you want a little bit more shimmer, you can add some of the highs, like around maybe somewhere around this range. So anyway, this is just a really rough kind of idea, but that's how you adjust those things. And you can always hit this, which is just a bypass, to compare how it is before and after. And you can have a lot of fun doing that yourself. Okay, so I'll stop that. And you can do that uniquely to each one of these. So you can add a plugin to the other track, Acoustic Guitar 2, and do the same thing. If for some reason you know that you liked the settings that you had on Acoustic Guitar 1, you feel it is appropriate to use the same ones here, you can hit Alt and just copy that over it, and that's going to put the same effects on to this one. And we'll take bypass off as well. So, okay, so I had to pick this up again, but I wanted to remind you to blog about your experience and post that. Include in that post your some of the decisions you made and why you made those decisions, as well as just any other feelings about the experience. I want to show you one last thing too, just kind of for fun. This is the original session that I pulled those audio files from. This is something I worked on last year, but you were working with acoustic 1 and 2, and I think it's kind of interesting to see the larger pictures. So this is what my session file looked like, and if you're curious, so there were all these other things going on. There's virtual instrument tracks, as well as acoustic instruments and some electric instruments as well. So anyway, if you want to hear a little bit of it, there's a video reference here. This is kind of what it's like. So if we solo it, here are just the acoustic tracks, which you're familiar with. But if you play everything, I'll go back a little bit. You can hear it with everything in there.
He's frozen. The proof is in the sweat.
Rodrigo, thanks for all your hard work. Wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Rodrigo, there's a surprise for you on the back.
Anyway, there's just a little sample of it, but thanks a lot for doing it. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next module.